The 2025 NFL season is nearly halfway done, and while everyone's rightfully focused on breakout rookies and their favorite team's playoff chances, there is a quieter but very interesting story playing out across the league.
3rd and 9. Lennon in trouble, and down he goes again. DeForest Buckner.
The ghosts of NFL seasons past who somehow are still here. Guys that you haven't thought about in a hot minute that are still cashing in checks, still showing up on film, and still finding ways to make plays. Some contributing more than others, yes, but all surprises to see on a roster sheet nonetheless. So without further ado, how about we dive into the 10 players that you totally forgot are still playing in 2025. Kyle Van Noy, LB/Edge, Baltimore Ravens. You probably last thought about Kyle Van Noy back when he was wrecking plays for New England, or maybe when he jumped to Detroit. But here and now, well, he's still doing it, just in the purple and black. Baltimore's defense has been patched together all season, but Van Noy is still a relevant chess piece who keeps it all moving. Whether he's standing up on the edge or dropping into coverage, his IQ still pops off the screen. In fact, he's actually coming off one of the best seasons of his career in 2024 when he notched 12.5 sacks and quietly earned his first Pro Bowl nod. Van Noy has battled injuries early this year, but when he's on the field, the Ravens know what they're getting. Veteran discipline, a couple of timely sacks, and that trademark pre-snap motion pointing that always makes offensive coordinators nervous that their play has been seen before it even gets off the ground. He may not be as explosive as he was back in his prime with the New England Patriots, but his know-how still makes him a very serviceable weapon on the Ravens D. Hunter Renfrow, WR, Carolina Panthers. For a while there, Hunter Renfrow was the guy in Vegas, the third down magician who always seemed to pop open just when Derek Carr needed him most. He was the kind of receiver that defenses hated. Not flashy, not fast, just annoying in the way that he always moved the chains. But somewhere along the line, Renfrow quietly disappeared. Injuries, coaching changes, and scheme shifts turned him from a 100-catch slot technician into a bit of an afterthought. But he's back in the action with Carolina after the Panthers took a low-risk swing, hoping that the old reliability might still be in there somewhere. Now he's fighting for relevance once again, trying to carve out snaps in a crowded receiver room while mentoring the young guys on how to survive in the league. He may not be the focal point, but when it's 3rd and 6 and Bryce Young needs a steady set of hands, Renfrow still knows how to get exactly 7. Plus, a vet like Renfrow is a great presence to have with young receivers like Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette trying to come into their own. Devin Bush, LB, Cleveland Browns. Remember when Devin Bush was supposed to be the next great Steelers linebacker? A top 10 pick, fast, instinctive, built to carry that legacy of great Steelers linebackers? Yeah, that didn't exactly pan out. Injuries, inconsistency, and a revolving door of coaches turned what looked like a cornerstone career into a footnote. Then Cleveland threw him a lifeline in 2024, and to their credit, Bush grabbed it hard. He's not just a rotational piece anymore. He's one of the most quietly efficient players on the Browns defense. His missed tackle rate dropped to a career low 3.8%. He posted a 24.8% pressure rate when sent on the blitz, and opposing QBs managed just a 77.8 passer rating when targeting him in coverage. All career bests. That's not empty stat padding. That's a complete player finding his groove again. Bush has rediscovered what made him special in the first place, that downhill burst and sideline-to-sideline range that made him a first-rounder. He's attacking gaps with confidence again, diagnosing faster, and most importantly, playing free. He's just 27, so, don't be surprised if we see this revival continue onward. Dalton Kincaid, TE, Buffalo Bills. Dalton Kincaid was supposed to be next up in the new wave of NFL tight ends. Coming out of college, he was heralded for being a smooth route runner, strong hands, and that blend of size and athleticism. There was hope in Buffalo when they took him that he would form a connection with Josh Allen that made him Buffalo's Travis Kelce in waiting. And early on, it looked like the hype wasn't that misplaced. He looked polished, explosive, and ready to be a long-term weapon in one of the league's most electric offenses. But then came 2024, and reality hit hard. Kincaid battled through issues in both knees and even a collarbone injury that he tried to play through. You could really see it on the tape. The quickness just wasn't there, the separation faded, and the crispness in his breaks dulled. The numbers told the story of a step back, from 73 catches to 44, from 673 yards to 448, and from rising star to afterthought. Now, halfway through 2025, Kincaid is not forgotten in Buffalo, but well, around the rest of the league, it sure kind of feels like he is. However, if there's a silver lining here for Buffalo and Kincaid, it's that a skill set like his doesn't disappear. It feels like it just got buried under bad luck and nagging pain. Plus, tight ends often take a few years to find their prime, and Kincaid still got the tools to reestablish himself as a household name. Justin Reid, safety, New Orleans Saints. A couple of years ago, Justin Reid was patrolling the back end for Kansas City, blowing up screens and barking calls on a defense that helped win a Super Bowl. He was one of the glue guys, young, physical, smart, exactly the kind of player that every contender needs to hold the middle of the field together. Now, well, he's only 28 and playing for a Saints team drifting as an afterthought in the broader NFL story. Thus, the same thing is happening to Reid. He used to be a name that was regularly talked about leading up to NFL Sunday, but now it's just sort of crickets. The strange thing is that it isn't really his play on the field that's the issue. I mean, after all, there are times that Reid still flies around and still hits like he's got a score to settle. But the spotlight just isn't finding him much these days down in the Big Easy. He really deserves much better than football irrelevance. But hey, that's the league. You have to be careful with where you choose to play, assuming you're fortunate enough to have influence on that decision. One minute you're hoisting Lombardis, the next you're grinding away desperate to get a 7-10 season in front of a crowd of disappointed fans. Demarcus Lawrence, Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, you probably did a bit of a double take when you saw it. Demarcus Lawrence, Seattle Seahawks. Still sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? After a decade in Dallas wrecking pockets in the NFC East, Tank packed up and headed northwest, quietly giving the Seahawks the kind of veteran pass rusher that they haven't had since that Legion of Boom era. Yeah, he's not the 10-sack monster that he once was, but Lawrence's tape is still impressive. The hand usage, the leverage, the motor, all of those are still top tier. He just doesn't have that same freakish physicality that he built his name on. But when it comes to showing young linemen how to set the edge, mentoring them, and giving Seattle's defense a grown-up in the room, well, he is a great guy to have on your roster. That stuff matters for a team trying to claw back into NFC contention. At 33, Lawrence's box score won't turn heads anymore. But you know, his presence still does. He's the rare vet who's aged into his role gracefully. No drama, no drop-off, just quiet dominance and a whole lot of respect. Andy Dalton, QB, Carolina Panthers. While it has been some time since he was an actual starting quarterback, the Red Rifle has managed to keep a roster spot occupied as a trustworthy backup quarterback. It's kind of crazy to think about, really. Dalton's been in the league so long that some of his old teammates are now coaches, and he's older than some of the coaches on the Panthers staff. At 36, Dalton has found a nice home backing up Bryce Young in Carolina, and he does it with the calm professionalism of a guy who's seen everything and is ready to support his young teammate. When Bryce has taken his lumps, Dalton's been the steady hand keeping the offense on script, stepping in when needed and reminding everyone what a clean pocket and smart read look like, all while being the consummate teammate. The Panthers know that he's not the long-term answer, but that's not why he's here. Dalton's job is to steady the room, mentor the kid, and be ready when chaos hits. DJ Reid, DT, Detroit Lions. It is very easy to forget about DJ Reader, in large part because, well, his job is to make everyone else's job look easier, but also because he kind of fell off the national media's radar after his nasty injury in Cincinnati. But you know, Reader is still out there balling. You don't see him on highlight reels or in sack compilations, but if you'll watch the trenches long enough, well, you'll see the big man still making big moves in the flow of traffic in the trenches. After anchoring Cincinnati's front for years, Reader found a new home in Detroit, which, you know, kinda makes sense. He is straight out of Dan Campbell's daydream, built on grit and lunch pail toughness. Yeah, he's not racking up big counting stats, but he's freeing Aiden Hutchinson to hunt quarterbacks and letting linebackers flow clean to the ball. That's the kind of impact that you can't measure in box scores. He's one of those players you only appreciate when he's gone, and the Lions' defensive line looks a lot more balanced now that Reader's in the middle of it. Not the star, but he is the reason that their stars shine brighter. DeForest Buckner, DT. Indianapolis Colts. It's kind of wild how quietly DeForest Buckner has gone about being one of the most consistently dominant defensive linemen of the past decade. He's not flashy, he doesn't do a ton of media, and yet year after year he is the heartbeat of whatever defense that he's on. Now in year 9, Buckner's still doing exactly what he's always done, wrecking pockets, eating double teams, and making opposing offensive linemen look silly. He's 31 now, well past the point where most defensive tackles start slowing down. But you would never know it watching him collapse pockets and command double teams. The Colts have turned into one of the sneaky good stories of 2025, and Buckner's a huge reason as to why. Even if you forgot that he's still kicking it in the NFL, which he has been since 2016. And what makes it all the more impressive is that he is still a factor on a weekly basis. Through 5 games, he's already logged 15 tackles, a sack, and multiple quarterback hits every week, anchoring a unit that's finally giving their offense short fields instead of stress headaches. Josh Johnson, QB, Washington Commanders. Josh Johnson is the immortal backup quarterback. Doesn't matter how many new faces show up, somehow he still fits the mold. Somehow. He has been on so many teams that it's probably easier to list who he hasn't played for rather than who he has played for. So I mean, how could we not have the guy that's managed to stick around so long that he's played on nearly half the league's teams on this list? Now in Washington, Johnson's holding the clipboard for Jaden Daniels, running scout team reps and mentoring like the world's most overqualified backup. At the age of 39, he's the ultimate insurance policy, a guy who can parachute into any locker room and learn that playbook by Wednesday. The Commanders love his steady presence, while Daniels deals with the opposing defenses on game day. And Marcus Mariota fills in on the field when he can't. And if you think that he's just cashing checks, well, ask the staff or any of his teammates. They'll tell you that his voice carries more weight than some coordinators or even starters. Plus, they know if everything goes sideways and Mariota misses time too, well, they have a dependable, prepared vet ready to go. But which NFL players did you most forget were still playing today in 2025? Who do you think we're right on? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.